The transition between Boruto NNG and Two Blue Vortex had to be one of the most interesting time skips I think I ever seen in recent years. Constantly we see scenes or moments that happen during the 3-year time skip, whether it be towards the end of the time skip or more closer to the beginning. And as time goes on, I expect the story to give us more and more information on what exactly occurred during those 3 years that wasn't shown to us. We're already 15 chapters in, and we've been shown numerous flashbacks, and these flashbacks were kind of used as a plot device to explain events or concepts that may seem kind of confusing at first. A perfect example of this was chapter 13. Chapter 13 is considered one of the best chapters in Two Blue Vortex because it not only reveals how Boruto met up with KASHIN KOJI and eventually forged the alliance they now have in the current day, but it also explains how Boruto knew about future events that would occur later in the story, like the emergence of the SHINJU, the worst possible future, even Code's assault on Konoha was foresaw by KOJI. So I think I see what direction Kishimoto wants to go with portraying the time skip. As time goes on, he'll reveal more and more about the 3 years leading up to Two Blue Vortex. And in chapter 15, I think we got another example of this theory. Towards the end of the chapter, Boruto and KAWAKI finally have their first interaction where KAWAKI's not trying to actively kill Boruto. And in this interaction, they talk about certain things that I feel needed to be talked about to ease a lot of the reader's minds. Like information on Momoshiki, a character that's been missing from the manga ever since the last chapter of part 1. As well as giving us the reason why KAWAKI appears to be so weak coming into Two Blue Vortex. But specifically what I'm going to be focusing on in this video is what Boruto said about what happened during his encounter with Code 2 years ago. Because just from his statements alone, I think I can further analyze this fight to find out what truly occurred that day. So of course, before I get into this analysis video, I write, record, and edit all these videos myself, and it does take quite a bit of work to do so. So if you could just leave a like, it would be much appreciated. As you know, it helps me out in the YouTube algorithm and helps new people discover the channel. We're on the road to 10K subs, so if you want to help me out with that, show some love, man. Now let's get into the video. Now the battle between Boruto and Sasuke versus Code initially happened off screen, which resulted in Sasuke being assaulted by a claw grime and getting turned into a tree, which also eventually resulted in the birth of his Shinju clone, Hidari. Now Boruto stated that this fight happened 2 years ago from his conversation with KAWAKI, so that means this happened roughly 1 year into the time skip. If Boruto is about 15 years old in Two Blue Vortex, and at the end of part 1 he's 12 years old, then during this battle Boruto should be around 13 years old and some change. So this is probably the first major fight since the ending of part 1. That's not really that much important, but just for clarification purposes, we should know this happened towards the beginning of the time skip. So just by that fact alone, it tells us that a lot probably occurred during these 3 years. A lot that needs to and probably will be revealed at a later time. Now Code has been actively searching for Boruto since the end of part 1 because of his desire to eat the chakra fruit and become the new OTSUTSUKI and his personal grudge against Boruto. He wishes to kill him. One day following Boruto's training, him and Sasuke ran into Code and his Claw Grime army, but it wasn't shown if Code found them himself or they ran into him by chance. It might have happened on an entirely different day just based off how little was explained here. You can definitely say it will be brought up later on in the story. I wouldn't be surprised if chapter 16 went further in depth of what happened that day, just because of Boruto explaining what happened the chapter prior. So yeah, basically I just spoiled the potential future chapter 16 prediction video, but it's whatever. I still plan to make the video and explain my reasoning there. But for now, I'm just gonna focus on this fight right here. So let's say most likely what occurred is Code found Boruto and Sasuke and started a fight. Believing he had the upper hand because of his Claw Grime army, he probably found it to be a good opportunity to defeat Boruto, and since Sasuke was there, it's only natural he would be dragged into the battle to protect Boruto. Now, according to chapter 15, Boruto says at some point in the fight he used his karma for the first time since he left the village, and when he used the karma, he sensed a similar feeling to whenever Momoshiki possessed his body, a feeling where he stopped being himself. It was like he started dying while still conscious and aware. And ever since that day, he decided to never use the karma again. Now, when exactly during this fight did Boruto go ahead and use the karma? We don't know, but we can try and figure it out using what we already know. Just because Boruto says he felt something similar to the feeling he got whenever Momoshiki took over, does not mean he actually took over Boruto's body during this battle. It only implies that it almost happened. But most likely Momoshiki would have emerged if Boruto had kept the karma activated longer. We all know how Momoshiki feels about Code and the Kara organization as a whole. While Code still remains a threat to Boruto, he's gonna want to kill him. Momoshiki is super possessive over Boruto because he sees him as his own vessel. So whenever someone threatens Boruto's life or tries to feed him to the 10 tails to inherit the chakra fruit like Code, you best believe Momoshiki is not gonna take that sitting down. And another reason why I don't believe he emerged is the mere fact that Sasuke is still alive. I actually don't believe there is a scenario where Sasuke survives another encounter with Momoshiki, especially since he was so pissed off that he chosen to help Boruto out after everything that happened. He wanted Boruto to suffer the pain of losing everything, and that pain was supposed to have Boruto freely give up his body. Sasuke pretty much prevented that future, so Momoshiki may still be trying to get back at him for that. And killing Sasuke would possibly reintroduce that pain to Boruto. And to this day, he can still be trying to do that. So let's just say when Boruto tried to activate his karma, he was put out of the battle for a little bit to get his consciousness back together. And while this was happening, Sasuke was trying to cover for him. Trying to protect himself along with Boruto was what eventually caused for Sasuke to be caught off guard by one of the claw grinds. I think we can all agree, Sasuke isn't going to be caught off guard so easily. It isn't like Sasuke to lose focus in a fight to the extent to where he would be caught off guard by a claw grind. So it's more likely he was distracted by something. And this something could have very well been Boruto struggling with his karma issues. So this is just the events that I believe to have occurred, not the order in which they could have happened. So at the beginning of this flashback, it shows Code holding his eye because it just got sliced by Sasuke. He tells Boruto to hurry up and run, and to no surprise, Boruto refuses to leave his master behind. So let's break down the obvious. You can tell that this isn't at the beginning of the fight, this happened sometime during the middle, or let's just say at least not in the beginning of the fight. That much is for sure. You can tell they've been fighting for a little minute. Just look at the scratches and bruises on their face. Even Boruto's old blade has been broken. So some fighting has gone by since this scene right here. So this could be before or after Boruto activated his karma and blacked out or something. Now let's look at some possibilities. The first possibility is that Boruto and Sasuke could have been fighting Code, and Sasuke must have caught Code off guard and got a good slice on his eye. Or perhaps Sasuke used Code's bloodlust against him by using Boruto as bait, then waited for a good moment to catch Code off guard enough to deal that critical blow. I could be kind of underestimating Sasuke, and I don't think I am, but it very well could be that Sasuke injured Code like that just fighting him straight up. But I feel they most likely used some sort of strategy to do that to Code, just because we know Boruto was nowhere near as strong as he is now. And since Code is considered a threat above Jigen level, he should be able to handle this version of Sasuke with a mid-level of difficulty. But I still have to take into account that Sasuke had an entire year of training, not only without the Rinnegan, but just training in general. So it's very possible Sasuke is just as strong as he was with the Rinnegan, or even stronger now. It's hard to say because we never really see Sasuke in a full-out battle since the Ishiki fight, but it's very well possible for that to be the case. So the battle between Boruto, Sasuke, and Code starts, and they battle Code and his Claw Grime army until Sasuke eventually catches Code and slices his eye. I feel Sasuke told Boruto to run because of the sheer number of Claw Grimes may have been a little overwhelming, and there was no way they could take on Code and his Claw Grime army, so he decided having Boruto flee to ensure his survival was the best move. Now this part is probably the most important because I don't believe Boruto just flees the scene, especially when his master is in a life or death situation. I see it like this: after Sasuke rushes in to fight Code, Boruto tried to find a way to assist Sasuke any way he could, and one of the ways he thought he could help was resorting to the karma to try and gain an upper hand in battle. It was then he felt his body and mind being taken over by Momoshiki, and at that point, he scurries away from the battlefield, fearing he may be taken over again. And he'll soon realize that choice will cost him dearly later on when he returns to the battlefield and finds Sasuke turned into a tree. 2 years later, Code would tell Boruto that he was helpless in that fight against him 2 years ago. So that means Boruto really didn't do much to help Sasuke in his base form, which means Sasuke was just hard carrying in that fight. So that kind of further pushes my case that Boruto tried to rely on the karma so he can keep up in the battle some way. So moving on, somehow the karma took Boruto out of the fight for an X amount of time. And that time he was away from the fight resulted in him coming back to find his master in that tree-like state. So whether he listened to Sasuke and actually ran away, or maybe the karma activation caused him to run away, or maybe he just fell unconscious because of the karma, somehow he wasn't present for the whole fight. Boruto could have also tried to use the karma beforehand and then reverted when he felt his body was being taken over. But I don't know how I feel about that, because Boruto never shown the ability to just shut off the karma whenever it activated. He always had trouble using the karma, so to believe he just simply stopped using the karma mid-battle when he felt it was an inconvenience for him, that right there seems kinda inconsistent to the narrative. So what's probably more believable is the karma activation took him out of the battle entirely, and during this time, Sasuke was able to do pretty well. From this panel right here, we can see he managed to slay a good amount of claw grinds, and Code is nowhere to be found. Did he think Sasuke was dead and left in search of Boruto, or did he retreat for some other reason? If Code knew Sasuke was still alive, I think he would just finish him off, right? So something must have happened to cause Code to leave the battlefield, but what could it be? It's not crazy to think Code would just leave Sasuke there. I mean, he's not really after him or anything. His main goal is Boruto, and it's still Boruto. So it is possible he could have just left him there and not really pursued the situation anymore. Maybe Code doesn't even know what happened to Sasuke, because if he did, you would think he would have an easier time finding Boruto, because he knows he would want to try and save Sasuke. So something caused Code to retreat, or maybe he tried to chase after Boruto. So that's how the fight ended, with Code retreating, most likely after Sasuke was defeated by the claw grinds. Boruto returns after he calms himself down before he lost control. He takes Sasuke's sword and continues on his journey while finding a way to save Sasuke. So like I said earlier, most likely we will be getting some new information for this battle later on, probably next chapter because of how chapter 15 ended. But this is how I think the fight went based on the information that was given in chapter 15. So let me know if you agree with me in the comment section down below. Do you think the fight went exactly how I mentioned, or close at least? I mean, nobody will be 100% accurate until the story actually tells us how it went, but I think I have a vague idea on some directions it could have went. And let me tell you right now, it was mostly Sasuke versus Code. So if Sasuke could put in this much work against a Code with no limiters, I think that works pretty good if you want to spread some Sasuke propaganda here. So like always, if you enjoyed the video and want to see more like this in the future, feel free to leave a like, comment, maybe subscribe, and turn on post notifications so you don't miss another video like this or when I go live for chapter spoilers. And until my next video, I'll see y'all boys and girls later, and I'm out. Peace.